This episode of The Unstarving Musician is powered by Bandzoogle, helping musicians around the world create professional artist websites. I somewhat recently moved my own artist website over to Bandzoogle. You can see it at robonzo.com. I'm a longtime WordPress user and website designer, so trying a system like Bandzoogle was kind of a big deal to me, but I know that WordPress ain't that easy to learn, and lots of musicians have no interest in learning how to use WordPress, but will try something purported to be easy to use. Well, it doesn't get much easier than Bandzoogle. I've talked about the numerous features they have at the front end of other episodes, but after talking to Dave Kuhl, VP of Business Development with Bandzoogle, I learned about several other features that are especially interesting right now, such as crowdfunding, subscriptions, donations, and all of that without fees added. They also have tools to help you sell merch, tickets to your shows, build your email list, and more. They have support 7 days a week. So look, go to bandzoogle.com to start a 30-day free trial. You can use the promo code ROBONZO to get 15% off your first year. That's bandzoogle.com, promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO. This episode is powered by ConvertKit. More than just an email marketing company, ConvertKit is focused on landing pages too, giving beginner creators the ability to build email subscriber lists. I've been using ConvertKit since early 2016. Their new free plan allows creators to make unlimited landing pages and forms. Choose from multiple templates, add personalization and design, include an incentive email, create a thank you page, manage subscribers, and send broadcast emails. Plus, you'll get access to the ConvertKit community page where you can join groups, follow topics, post questions, comments, and interact with other creators. To connect with your audience and to make a living doing the work you love with ConvertKit, go to unstarvingmusician.com/convert. Let's do the show. Welcome, my sweet salamanders. This is Robonzo. On this podcast, The Unstarving Musician, I have conversation with independent musicians and music industry pros to discuss the various aspects of independent music artistry and the journey therein. My intent is to help independent music artists do more of what we love, which, of course, is to make more music. Do you want to help others find this podcast? You can do so by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. It really does help. The Unstarving Musician podcast is made possible through the generosity of listeners like you. One of the easiest ways to offer support is to join the Unstarving Musician community, and you can do so by going to unstarvingmusician.com and join right there on the homepage. As a member, you'll receive from me tips and lessons you can use in your music journey. And this is not just stuff coming from me and my years of experience as a gigging musician, but also from the hundreds of other musicians I've talked to as part of this project and podcast. You'll also get a free copy of the Unstarving Musician's Guide to Getting Paid Gigs ebook. And that is all free just for being part of the community. To learn more about the other ways of offering your support, please visit our sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowdsponsor. My guest for this episode is the artist known as Juno. I found Juno on Instagram. She is an insanely talented guitarist and songwriter. She has a new album out called Help Is Not on the Way. And I'm just giddy she agreed to speak with me. She's worked with a few big names, including Bruno Mars, Camila Cabello, Erykah Badu, Machine Gun Kelly, Estelle, and India Arie, to name a few. The conversation drops in at a very casual pace, but Juno had a lot to say, and I just kind of liked where we started, so it was great. It was cool that we did it that way. We spoke a great deal about her new album and how it came together, which was it's my favorite part of the conversation, the bulk of the conversation, I think. Given all these industry heavyweights she had worked with, she had some preconceived notions of how her album should come together, but in the end, it was a huge discovery process and an eye-opening experience. A fascinating story, really. We don't get too deep into her beginnings, but she really has come from nothing, quote-unquote. And she is deservedly a shining example of what anyone can become and can do. It was a fortuitous thing to speak with her today, particularly with the story of her new album, because I am the recipient of some new recording gear this weekend, and Juno got me a little fired up and inspired to work with my gear, work on my new song. Here is me and Juno, the artiste.
It's so funny because I took those, that's my real kitchen. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the album at all, but that's my real kitchen that I took that picture in, and it's just so special to me because everything is even though it looks like, wow, this is great, it's like everything was so organic and so real. And I think that's why it feels that way, because it's not like I didn't like rent out a kitchen, like that was my kitchen. You know what I mean? So
yeah, really, that's cool. I wondered. Really, really
powerful.
I wondered because I have listened to some of the album, and in particular Kitchen, the intro, and then I clued into the fact, back to the album cover, and I was like, I wonder if this was all done in her kitchen. At least those pieces. Excuse me. That's really cool. Well, all right, we're just going to keep rolling. I think maybe...
Oh, perfect, yeah.
I think,
are we officially going?
Yeah, I think so, because I think that kitchen bit is keep-worthy, so...
But, I want to talk about Kitchen because I think that track, one of the things that's cool, not only is the picture my actual kitchen, but that the track itself is a voice memo I got from my phone, so it's not like a reenactment. It's all real. When I used to write songs, I would turn on my voice memo on my phone and just kind of set my phone up to kind of capture, melodies and ideas. Obviously, as I'm doing dishes and stuff, I can't stop the phone or turn it on, and I know when an idea will come. So I would just kind of turn on my voice memos, and I have literally probably like 3,000 hours of footage of just all voice memo ideas and notes and stuff. And I was going through, I had already written the whole album, and I was going through, I'm going to start the album, and I was going through my voice memos and happened to find that. And I was like, holy crap, this is, I have to use this. This has to be the start of the album. And it took me a while to be comfortable to share that because it's so raw and vulnerable. But I wanted to share that because I feel like social media and, the entertainment, just being an artist and sometimes can seem so glamorous. And I really wanted to share my pain so that people can relate and connect and understand that, like, I have been through some things, and it was the choices I made that got me out, as opposed to like me being special or different from them. I want people to really connect and see that we have more in common, than we don't. So I think as a guitarist, you don't get to share those personal things because people just want you to like jam on some Eric Clapton and some Jimi Hendrix, and I'm always down for that. But this album was really just about me for the first time, sharing my story and using my voice to speak for me rather than the guitar.
Well, that's cool. The first time I listened to Kitchen, and it's pretty short track. It was I couldn't listen to the whole thing. It's very raw, as you say. And today, in fact, I was revisiting it, and I listened to the whole thing, and then into the next track. So I take it. I gotta ask: was that actually was that real emotion, or were you acting it out for an idea?
No, so that's what I just said. I don't know if you heard. The first thing I said was that's a voice memo from my phone. Yeah. Because when I write songs, I would have my voice memos playing, so that if I record an idea, if I'm singing, washing dishes and sing a melody and I forget it, then I'm like, oh shoot. So I would turn my voice memo. So the reason I was captured is because I was already, for hours, sometimes I'll do this and I'll just do ideas. So that was not a reenact. That was a real voice memo on my phone. The track was about 2 hours of just me going around, all kinds of stuff. And that's just a clip of what I used that I felt was the perfect introduction and really a accurate depiction of just what my life was like that time, that whole season. It was just, that's what it was like, So I wanted to set the tone, and I'm not against reenactment, but a lot of producers, that I've been trying to get this album done for 2 years, and finally I wound up producing it and collaborating with a few people. But a lot of producers wanted me to reenact it and re-record it because they wanted a more clear track. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. This is exactly what happened. And I actually did a kitchen challenge on social media and got some actors send in some submissions of them reenacting it. And it's just so powerful to see different people, what they envision, and their, them feeling like, wow, I've been in the kitchen and had an experience like that before. And, so it was just a really, really powerful moment. And I thought it was important to share that and to say, if I can share this, then I can share anything, because this is pretty raw.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I had trouble listening to it the first time through. I'm glad I did listen to it. So obviously it was a rough moment. So for those
it
who
almost feels like something you're not supposed to hear.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
As an audience member, like, oh, does she know does she know we're hearing this? It's like, yeah, this is the album.
Yeah, exactly. I felt maybe that's what it was for me. I felt like I was eavesdropping or something. And for those who are not familiar with Juno's latest album, Help Is Not on the Way, we're talking about the intro track called Kitchen, and you're clearly going through a bit of emotion there. So that's what what we're referring to. And I encourage you to check it out if you've not heard it. You can pick it up in all the usual digital music platforms.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Well, that's cool. I'm glad we just kind of rolled into that. So so you worked on it for 2 years, and so we are recording on May 8th, 2020. And you told me it released on April 24th, so it's still relatively new. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you? I always want to ask, and I had it on my list today to ask you how you're managing the whole quarantine thing. What are you doing differently? And now that we're talking about the album, I don't know what your album release history is yet, but are you having to approach this in a completely different manner, or what are you doing differently, if anything?
So this is what's interesting. This is my first album ever. This is my debut album, number one. I was not finished it, and I finished it in the quarantine.
Yeah, wow.
I feel there are so many terrible things happening, and so many people that are suffering and who have lost lives, and for that, I'm extremely, aware of and sensitive to. But for me personally, it's actually been a really positive experience, speaking of the quarantine, because it really just made me get alone and be with myself. And, I had no excuse but to finish this project. So the last song I finished was Oh Diane, which is the 9th song on the album. It's one of my favorite songs I think it's probably my favorite song on the album. But I started to realize, again, it's so funny. The album is called Help Is Not on the Way. And it's taken me so long because I've had to relive that so many times. And I've been along this process, different people supposed to do this and this, waiting for this person to do this. And finally I said, what? The whole world is shut down. The whole world is closed. This is my shot to get this done. And I'm going to use every resource and relationship that I've built over the last 10 years. Some have to do with music and not, and just really get this done. And so I started to literally piece together the album and finish it myself. And it was the most rewarding experience I think I've ever had in my entire career, of literally being like, okay, for Oh Diane, what do I want to hear? I want to hear trumpet. So I emailed one of my friends, Arnetta Johnson, who is Beyonce's trumpet player. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we've gigged together, we've done different shows and stuff together, but I didn't know if she would be available. But it was just about me taking one step at a time and using the quarantine to my advantage to say, okay, what can I accomplish during this time? And I just had a few more songs to get done, and I got them done and put the album out. So I was really, 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 really proud of that. And, as of now, there's so much work, with the promotion and stuff of it, but I'm just trying to stay creative and stay positive and stay in a good space. So that's what the quarantine has been like for me. I finished an album in the quarantine.
Yeah, great for you. It's funny. I have not accomplished quite that, but I started writing the first song I've done in way too many years, and started collaborating with a friend. I'm a drummer and singer, playing a little bit of guitar, so I was enough to put down the melodies and idea and collaborate with a friend. And here I'm waiting to get some gear today so I can record the drums for it. But cool. I don't know if you know, I'm in Panama, and so we're a little more shut down than this in the States, and so I'm hoping my gear gets to me today. But
oh no.
Anyway, so what had all this not come down? What was on your schedule before?
I have been, again, this project was supposed to come out in 2016 originally. And I'm telling you, man, I could sit up here and name you 70 things that kept coming up and going wrong. And most of it had to do with me accepting that help is not on the way. I would have for example, for certain tracks, I would have a certain piano part, and I was waiting to find the perfect piano player. Well, guess what? I never found him. It was me. And I didn't know that until I had no other choice but to just do something. And I think the more I kept accepting that message, because that's what the name of the album was about. And it's not about, we all need each other and we all support each other, but there's certain things that nobody can do but you. There's certain things that you have a vision for. And I think I kept wanting permission from other people to get my vision out for several reasons. As a woman, as a queer person, as a Black person, there's not a lot of people that look like me that are that did all the things that I did on this album. And, I look up to people like Missy Elliott and Timberland and Pharrell Williams and Kanye West and, even like P. Diddy and all he did, his involvement with the hip hop scene and what he did for the culture. And I just wanted to create something as special as they did. And I feel like when you're creating an album that's about your life, like no one else can really do that for you, and I think that for me, that's what it was about me deciding that I wasn't going to wait for this producer to be done in 6 months with the project he was working on, for this drummer to finally send me the tracks, for this person to do this. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do as much as I can, and whatever I can't do, I'm going to reach out for help. And literally, that's what I did. And it actually turned out so much better because they're my ideas and it's come from me as opposed to someone else, just kind of doing it for me.
Yeah.
I feel so proud.
Well, I love that. And I take it that along the way you maybe ended up working with people that you didn't expect to. Is that true?
Yeah. For example, I met so many people along the way. I met this guy for the song Color With Me, which is a song. It's one of my favorite songs. Again, I'll say that about every song, just so you know. But it's kind of out now. At first I was trying to be all like Taylor Swift and like not let anybody know what my songs were about. And then all my fans have cracked the codes and I'm just like, oh. But Color With Me was inspired by the moment I met Camila Cabello. She was sitting at in the lunchroom. I didn't know any of the girls, and she was sitting at a table by herself. And I just went over to her. She had her back to me, and she had all these crayons and coloring pencils spread out on the table. And I just thought it was strange. I mean, she didn't have any food. Everybody was eating, and she was coloring. And so I walked up to her, and she looked up at me, and she said, "Do you want to color with me?" That's the first thing she ever said to me. And she had a purple crayon in her hand. You have to hear the song for everything to make sense. But, that song I had wrote like 2 years ago. And then when I was in Nashville last year, I went to this open mic and this guy was on guitar. He was like killing it. His name was Charlie Chamberlain. I'm like, man, you're killing. So I went up to him afterwards and I was like, yo, we got to collab. So we literally the next day went into the studio and just did Color With Me. Like just me and him. We played all the instruments. We produced it. We mixed it, like everything. And we just knocked it out in one day.
Nice.
So, it's so crazy because I know so many people, but I kept running into like random strangers. And it's like, that was the person who had what I needed. It wasn't the person that I thought that I was going to collaborate with for it, or, you know what I'm saying? So whether it's musicians, my friend Darius, who played drums for Camila Cabello and 50 Cent and J. Cole, he was supposed to play the drums for 2 songs, and then he literally went into labor. His girlfriend went into labor, and they had a baby. So that was another example of like, oh, man, I got to figure out how to come up with this stuff. So it was always a negative reason why things fell through. Sometimes it just kind of happened. But I'm really glad it did, to be honest. And I wound up collaborating with just quote unquote regular people, meaning, there's a hierarchy in the industry. You don't just get to come into the industry and work with Timberland. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's like, you work your way up. I consider myself a new artist, a new rising artist. And it was really a blessing to get to work with other rising producers and musicians, and who I felt like we all were in a similar position. And I think because of that, we all had a similar tone of just excitement and hunger for something that's raw and real and true, rather than some thought sell. Because my experience with a lot of people who've been in the industry for a long time is they're all about business and how is this going to make money. And I'm just like, right now, I can't think about that. I have to just get this out, this experience that happened, and I'm trying to get that out. So I was really, really able to connect with just a lot of my friends who I've just met in the business along the way. And that, I think that gave me the freedom to really, really be myself, as opposed to like looking to them for validation. Because, hey, this is my project. I got to get this out. And that's what I did. You know, it took 2 years, but that's what I did.
These things take time sometimes. And did you, because of some of the people that you have worked with throughout your career, did you originally have, it sounds like yes, but did you originally have your sights set on working with this person and that person, and maybe they were also...
Yeah, as far as I knew right away, I didn't really want to have any features or collaborations. I think because as far as producers and musicians, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to drop any names, but I had really big names in the beginning of people that were interested. I mean, I had record labels interested in different opportunities from people, quote unquote, high up in the industry. But again, I personally felt like with the type of artist that I am and the message that I'm trying to put out, do I want to make money? Sure. But like, that's not my drive. I don't make decisions based off how marketable I think it is with my music. I'm trying to tell a story, and I lived some valuable lessons that I'm trying to share. And I think one of the things in any field, when someone's been doing it for a long time, sometimes they can lose sight of that message. And it's not to say everyone has, but the few projects that I was involved in and the opportunities that I did have, it didn't feel like they had my mission at the focal point. It seemed like it started to feel political, and I just didn't like that. I wanted to be in control. This is my story. This is my message. This is my life, and it's going to be the only thing that can speak for me when I'm not even on this earth anymore. So I was just really careful about who I let be in control of that.
Well, it sounds like
so. Yes, I did have people at the top, and then they were removed. To be honest, and no shade, it's just the truth. I want to always tell the truth.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it unfolded in a really good way, and it sounds great too. I want to ask you some things about social media. So I found you on Instagram, and I'm an independent podcaster, so forgive me. There were a lot of things I didn't know about you until my routine is I'll identify an artist I want to have on the show, or sometimes I'm lucky and, I get approached by either an artist or a PR agency to feature someone. In your case, I ran across you on Instagram, and I'm like, oh wow, she sounds really, really great, so I'm listening, and thank you, by the way, for being so accessible and agreeing to come on the show. So I was reading about you. I don't think this was terribly recent, but you had said something to the effect of Instagram was kind of your diary. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, is that still the case today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it because I actually get to look back on my own page, and I feel like I'm like watching my own life. I think when I first started out, I had this this branding, marketing thing. I started my Instagram page early on when I was touring with Fifth Harmony and Camila Cabello's mom. Mm-hmm. She asked me, she said, we tagged you or something. Did you see it? I said, tag me? I didn't even know people use social media every day, all day like they did. So she was the first person. She was like, girl, you better get your page together and update your... I was like, oh, I didn't know. So, used to, obviously then I was honestly modeling. I learned a lot from being around them and seeing the way they ran their social media. It's like, okay, we're about to go to Germany. So they say, what's up to Germany? We on our way to Germany. Okay, what's up, Germany? And I was kind of duplicated the things that I saw. And then it wasn't until, after doing it for a while, that I was like, man, this is really an opportunity for me to connect directly with my fans. And I just want that to always be a real, raw, honest experience as opposed to like, I'm all about strategizing. And I know some people have like 6 months of their posts planned out, but I literally cannot do that. Like everything I put out, I usually create it that day because I like wake up. That's what I do. And I'm like, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going to post. And I just love that. It feels more honest. And again, not to be morbid, but one day we won't be here. And I don't want my social media to be some shit I made up so that people could be entertained. I want it to be an honest account of my life because that's where people are going to go when I'm not here. You know, so I try my best to be, you know, just real on there and just not just post, oh, I did this, I did that, but you know, share some of my pain and share some, even sometimes I may have questions and do Q&As and get on live and just chat with the fans, you know, and just always stay connected. You know. Yeah. And that's the way I run my page. And maybe that'll change. I don't know. But for now, that's what feels right to me.
Sure. I like it. Well, and something else I noticed about you, which was, I think, worth mentioning for some other artists who are listening, your YouTube following is in excess of 81,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. And you have a lot of great content there. Thank you. Are you focusing a lot of energy there still today?
I just started getting back to it. It's funny because I'm Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. I mean, Jesus, I can't keep up with all of them. And they all have a different culture. So like, I'm the kind of person, like, I don't like to post the same thing on each thing. You know, you got to change it from DM to inbox between Instagram and Facebook. Like, to be on Facebook telling people to DM you, you know?
Yeah.
It's inbox there. You know, different things like that. And then also Facebook is mostly people that I know in real life that, like, I went to school with or, like, church or some type of experience in my life, as opposed to, like, YouTube is more of, like, the guitar community. And Instagram is more, like, people that follow me along my career. And Facebook is more personal. So, you know, I've been trying to unify my brand across platforms, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And YouTube is tough because, you know, it seems like the most beefy content, you know. I'm always trying to I have all these amazing ideas and I just never get to them. But over the next couple of weeks, I think now that the album is out, to be honest, I've just been excited about waking up every day and saying, okay, what can my album do to respond to the world? Maybe there's a really cute moment with a kid that happened or whatever. Or I have a song called Color With Me, so I'm making something with that song. Or maybe, you know, maybe Trump says something crazy and I just remind everybody that help is not on the way. So I'll do something with that song and, you know, whatever. You know, I'm always just trying to be in the moment and I love to be spontaneous with my creation. So, you know, I think YouTube is a place that requires a little bit more like editing and thought than like Instagram or Twitter. And so the quarantine is going to give me the time to focus more on that. But yeah, I've got a lot of great content on there and I haven't been consistent, but I will be moving forward and I'm really excited to crank out some new stuff.
You've done something right there, obviously. Are you still teaching or doing tutorial type things?
Oh my gosh. So I started what's called Juno's Guitar Boot Camp, and I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. And I serve over 12 countries doing guitar lessons over Skype. And I'm about to expand to Zoom because I get too many people that want to sign up, and I don't have enough space in life to do them all. So I'm going to start opening up to like Zoom group lessons and things like that. So yes, I still teach. I enjoy the personal one-on-one interaction and really getting to understand the students and who they are, what their goals are, where they are. You know, when you watch a YouTube video, I always tell people, it's 10,000 white dudes right now on YouTube teaching your favorite song. Go on and learn it. If you want to learn how to actually play guitar and speak the language of music, then you got to study that. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can learn Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze, but what that got to do with you? What you got to say? You know, so I really want to inspire people to find their own voice and to find their own purpose within music. And that's bigger than just guitar. You know, I do artist development. I do consultation calls with people and just, you know, career advice and all kinds of stuff. So yes, even though I don't promote that all the time, because most of the time I'm pretty full, but yes, I'm constantly teaching guitar. I think I'll always do that because I just love it so much. And I don't do it as much on YouTube anymore because I'm usually busy with my Juno's Guitar Bootcamp, which I founded almost a year and a half ago.
That's cool. And how do you promote the boot camp?
Over YouTube and social media, Instagram, I'll make a video, and literally it's as simple as I'll post a picture and say, 10 slots open, and then they're usually pretty much full. So, I mean, I've been really blessed with that, but I'm working on expanding to video lessons, which will be available on my website, and that's going to be launching at the end of this year. Because there's so many students I want to reach and just don't have the capacity to work with every single student that signs up. So I'm expanding the program by creating video lessons so that people can get through the fundamentals through video, and then come see me after they've gone through that process. So it's a progress, and I'm just really excited to build something that's mine. Like I started this, Man, that feels so good. You know, I've always worked for other people, and I'm not against it. But if you have something that's your own, man, that's just so much better, because nobody can fire me, and nobody can tell me not to play MC Hammer licks on guitar. I'm gonna do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's been great. I love working for myself.
That's nice. Can you? I know you've told this story more than a few times, but I purposefully didn't dig into it too hard because I wanted to hear it firsthand. And I know that some people will listen to this who are learning about you for the first time. But can you tell me the story of how you ended up picking up the guitar?
Oh, yeah. So I graduated from Illinois State University, and I was in the social work field. My first job was at this place called Chestnut Health Systems, which is a drug rehab facility. So my first job, I'm excited. It was actually an internship. I hadn't even graduated yet. But my first client was this kid named Jake, and he was 15 years old. He had black hair, black nails, black everything. I mean, he was like, I don't know if you remember like the emo goth phase that a lot of teenagers kind of go through. He was in that phase. So, everybody was scared of him. I wasn't scared of him because I'm from Chicago, and I was like, send him to me. So, I've always been creative. I wasn't a musician yet, but he always was playing his guitar. And I just remember he was playing Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze, and Lil Wayne. I don't know if you remember that song Lollipop, which was so rare on guitar. So, he was always playing those two songs. And one day I was just like, man, why don't you, he didn't want to do his treatment. And I said, look, we got to work something out. So I asked him to show me a couple chords, teach me guitar, and we'll exchange. I'll teach you some of the treatment stuff. We'll exchange guitar for drug rehab, treatment. And I didn't think he would go for it, but he did. And so he showed me G, C, and D, 3 guitar chords and Purple Haze. And he let me know that of course, this is way too hard for me. I'll never get this. And I just wanted to bust his little bubble so bad, because I'm like, what? I will get this, and I'm going to get it by tomorrow. Well, I didn't get it by tomorrow, but I got it by the next week. And, from there, we just kind of built this relationship of, I can't explain it, but music has this energy in it, and that's what I love about it, is that it's no words, which is amazing, but there's something in the frequencies of all the 12 notes that we have that just do something to us, that we just can't explain. And I just felt that happening. Like, I just felt this bond, of two people who came from two different worlds focused on the same thing now for 1 hour. And that just felt really special. And I was trying to trick him to get him to do his treatment. And man, it wound up changing my life. I mean, I've been playing every single day since then. And, it's just a testament that you just don't know where your next move is going to come from. I never, ever, ever, ever expected to be a musician or an artist, like making my own album, or the fact that I've toured with some of the top artists in the world literally blows my mind, because I still feel like a person that's just really excited to learn guitar, and really excited to meet with Jake and learn a couple chords and it really just changed my life. So I think me being open and meeting someone where they were, it was such a huge reward that for me, of just finding a passion. That's something you can't pay for.
That's crazy.
That's something you can't get that anywhere. So to have a reason, I grew up in Chicago. So before then, my life was all about survival. What we going to eat? How we going to stay safe? And that was the first time I felt passion. I had never felt passion before because I didn't have an opportunity to. It was such about survival, So to feel passion for the first time at 23 years old, I just knew I wanted to feel that every single day. And I still do. Whether I'm at Madison Square Garden, Ryan Seacrest, Rockin' Eve, their show we do, there, or some huge thing, or I'm in my room, or I'm sitting at a tree in my backyard, I feel the same way. And I just feel moved. Music just moves me, and it makes me feel like I have a responsibility to express all that energy that it makes me feel. I gotta do something with this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's how I started guitar, and that kid, he changed my life. I've been looking for him, and I believe I'll find him again one day. But that's how I started.
I was about to ask you what became of him, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, he probably walks around saying he discovered you. Hopefully.
I don't think he knows I exist because I have been talking about his little butt since I've been a guitarist, and I've been trying to find him. It's funny because I'm actually on a documentary right now for my life. It's called The Help Is Not on the Way documentary, and my team actually thinks they may have found him. I don't know anything about it, but that's all they're telling me for now. And they're like, after the quarantine, we'll talk about it more because they don't want to, I get really excited. But I think we may have found him, and we may be trying to do like a reunion or something if it's actually him.
How long's it been?
Or is just some guy acting like it's him? I want to say it has to have been almost 10 years. Wow. 9 years, yeah.
It's a great story.
And I still remember.
Go ahead. I was going to say it's a great story, and added to that, when anyone who has not heard you yet, when they hear you're going to go, she did all this in 10 years. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, it does. It's insane because I used to look at people that are playing 10 years. I'm like, oh my God, So it is amazing, and I feel. It was such an organic process. Like I said, I was never trying to be a musician. I didn't grow up with like Joe Jackson having us rehearse, I wasn't around music in that way. I was more into sports. But I've always been creative. I'm a queen. I've always lied to get out of gym if I didn't feel like doing it that day. I'm creative. So, this was just, it seemed like, looking back on my life, it seems like it was meant to be because every step led me to the next step, and I just kept following my heart each step. I never had the whole picture. I still don't have the whole picture, but I just keep doing the next best step, and that's all I can do.
What part of Chicago did you grow up in?
South Side.
South Side.
Once it's a thing. If I it's a certain noise I can do that 20 dudes will come out and attack you if I need to. So I save that sound. But yes, the South Side of Chicago is where I grew up, and I'm talking about for real South Side. Like we played double dutch in the streets and baseball, and we didn't come home to the street lights was on, and I had a really cool childhood of just playing outside with my friends and just like exploring the world, like from the eyes of a kid, of course. Mm-hmm. But even though we were poor, we had so many adventures, and I think that's where a lot of my songwriting came from, because as a kid, I'm living in Chicago. I go next door to my neighbor's house, and they were playing CMT, Top 20 Countdown. It's a country station. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the first time. That was the first time. Those songs, the songs that I was hearing, it was the first time I heard stories like that in songs. And I just fell in love with songs, with songwriting and stories and things like that. So it's interesting because even though back then I wasn't an artist, it's like I was developing as a writer just by observing the world from a storyteller's eyes, so.
Did Nashville, you mentioned that you've spent time in Nashville, or that you spend time in Nashville.
Yeah.
Has Nashville and certainly has the reputation for it, but has it played a big part in your developing your own storytelling?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think I came there more as a childhood dream. Like I said, when I grew up watching CMT, and I was just like, wow, Nashville, like it seemed like such a cool place. But I mean, I just moved to Nashville about almost 2 years ago. So, I mean, that was pretty much after everything. I wouldn't say Nashville, influenced the journey directly, but I think indirectly as a kid, seeing Kenny Chesney and Garth Brooks and Martina McBride and Sarah Evans. And, I mean, these were my heroes. I love those songs. Lone Star, My Front Porch Looking In. And to hear someone as an adult telling a story when they were a kid, and I'm a kid, and I'm just like, oh, wow, well, what's my story? What's the story I'm going to tell about right now? And then it started to make me look at the world different, not just as experiencing it, but narrating it as I'm experiencing it. And I started writing poems very early. Did not turn them into songs until I started playing guitar as an adult. But I always wrote poems. And I would just go to school and something would happen, and then I would go home and write a poem about it. So I've been kind of developing, just didn't realize I was heading towards being an artist. And I think Nashville was just a great space to just get out there with the guys and just, I mean, it's on every corner. There's somebody with a guitar and it's in tune. So you can count on that.
Right. Does songwriting come fairly easy for you, or is it kind of dependent on life and where you're at and those things?
Songwriting, I feel like a jerk saying this because I hate when people say this, but it comes easy for me only because I've been doing it for so long. It's so interesting. I was just thinking about this the other day that I have practiced expressing myself for so long, whether it's in poem form, whatever the case is, that I can feel something and I can immediately turn it into music. And it wasn't always that way, but typically every song I write in 5 to 10 minutes, as far as writing the song. And that's the lyrics, the music, the melody, everything. It just kind of comes to me as a group. I know some people start with lyrics or music or whatever, but the way I write songs is I experience something and I can feel it as I'm experiencing it. This is a song. Literally, when I wrote Help Is Not on the Way, I was in my kitchen washing the dishes. Me and my friend who, at the time, she was on tour with Beyonce, playing guitar for Beyonce. And I was on tour with Fifth Harmony. Well, we both came off tour, didn't have anywhere to go. So we went to LA and had this abandoned garage that we tried to turn into our apartment. And it was ridiculous. We were 20 something, just stupid. You know how it is. You're I don't need electricity. It's I'll just go to bed when it's dark. It's so, the 20s are an interesting decade. But anyways, that's where a lot of these songs were birthed because I was just it was pretty bad. And I was looking around and I realized nobody's coming. There's no address on this garage. The ambulance can't even find you. Your mother doesn't know where you are. This is actually dangerous. And I literally screamed out help. I don't know what made me do that now that I think back, but I help and it echoed back and came back to me. So I'm damn, did nobody even hear that but me? And then I got to thinking wow. And so I just had this very clear thought. Help is not on the way. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Get up and do it yourself. Everything you want to happen, you got to get up and do it. And so again, that was a moment where I'm describing in the song this scene that may sound like something I just made up, but it's actually quite literal, exactly what happened. And I wrote it exactly when it happened. So I got up and I was oh, that's interesting. Help is not on the way. And I just started, I mean, I can't describe it, but it just kind of comes together. I just get on my guitar or piano and just do it. I don't know how to explain it.
It sounds like you hung on to the idea for a while before you finally recorded it. Had you written the song more than 2 years ago? And
yeah.
And is it kind of common for you to have these ideas for songs long before they materialize into an actual song?
Was interesting. Yeah, that's a great question. What I didn't realize, so I would make what I call demos. Mm-hmm. As soon as I write a song, I make, that's not uncommon. What I didn't realize was that the demos were the song. So what happened was I kept trying to find someone to make my demos better because I thought, well, I'm not a producer. I'm just a guitar player. And that was what initially took me so long, is because I would have this demo and I would want, a producer to produce it. They would go off, produce, bring it back, and I'll say, oh, no, that's not really what it felt like, because this part, the drums. And then I was realizing that a lot of producers were like kind of not getting offended, but kind of like, well, you just basically took off everything I added, and now you just have your demo again. So I was like, oh, I'm the producer. I didn't realize that. So, I'm saying that to say that if I were to for you my demos, they sound so close to the end recording, meaning like I would do like piano vocals and then just build around that, or guitar vocal and build around that. Mm-hmm. And it never changed from the demo. So, it's not like ideas I just had in my head that later I brought out. I have probably 2,000 demos of songs, and I just kept going through them and I was trying to figure out which one stood out to me. I was playing them for friends. Hey, which one of these songs do you like? And trying to just figure out, do I have something here, or are these just a bunch of ideas? So, again, the quarantine making me really sit down and be still. I was realizing, like, wow, I'm almost actually done with this album, and I need to just get it out and stop waiting for someone else to come make it better. It is done just like this, so.
Do you feel like you
I don't
have?
know if that answers.
No, it does. Do you feel like you have? You could go through those archives again and pull another album out, or do you think maybe I need to make another 2,000 demos?
Well, I'm gonna always be making new songs. I'm gonna be honest. I probably have 20 albums in there if I really wanted to. I'm more interested in. I like to take ideas. Like, I have voice memos where it's just like me beatboxing. I don't know if you noticed, like on, for example, Nobody Cares. Mm-hmm. I'm in there doing like mouth percussion, stuff like that. And so sometimes I'll have just that. I'll have voice memo of just like a bunch of mouth stuff. And like, I can take at any given time, I can take any of those ideas, put it into Logic, my session, and say, okay, I'm going to create something. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something, So I'm really in touch with my feelings, and I'm really creative, so I can always make something. But I wanted to tell a story, and I wanted to make something special. And so that's why I really wanted to take my time to make sure it felt right even to me. And so, to be honest, I didn't go into this like, okay, I'm going to make this album called Help Is Not on the Way, and this is going to go. All I had was the first song, Help Is Not on the Way. And I thought that was a dope idea. And then I wrote Church, and I put that out. I still didn't have an album concept. Then I wrote Carrying the World, and I put that out. And I have all these friends in the industry that was telling me, just keep putting songs out, just keep putting songs out. And so that's where I got the idea to just, even though I don't have an album, put a song out. But then after a while, I was like, wait a minute, this is coming together as an album, So, yeah, it's pretty crazy even to me, to be honest, because I did not strategize any of this. It just organically came together.
Well, I'm happy for you that you discovered for yourself that you didn't need all the help that you needed, and you accomplished.
Yeah, you don't need 20 writers on a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to just say this. I think everybody's process is different, and I respect everyone's process. Like, when you got something to say, you should just say it, and you don't need anybody else's permission to do that. And I think, that's something that that's the way I was used to living in the world. And that could be for many reasons. I don't know. But for the first time in my life, I don't need anyone's permission to exist. I don't need anyone's permission to create. And you don't even have to actually like it or not. You know what I mean? It's okay to just do that as an artist. And I think that's important, because I think we've lost the art of art, and it's become a business, and it's become a strategy. When it's like, if people would listen to their hearts a little bit more, I think that would actually give them the answers of what they're looking for. And you are the help. You are the person who's going to be the game changer. You're the plug for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did you?
So that's really what it's been about.
That's great. Did you kind of have to give yourself permission? You were talking about having to get permission, feeling like you were trying to get permission, but was it ultimately just a thing you had to give yourself permission to do all these things you ended up doing on your own?
Yeah, Yeah, I think it was more like, well, let me just do it as a placeholder so that I can show other people what I want them to do. And then I realized that's silly. Why would I have why would I have a piano player replace my piano when my piano feels just fine the way it is? And so, I think I had to give myself permission to not be an expert at everything, because I think when listen, I worked as a guitarist. I was at the top, the tip top. It don't get no higher than the Bruno Mars tour. And when I tell you that tour, oh my God, it was so many things that I learned and experienced. But one of the things that I think to a fault that I developed was a sense of perfectionism. And I think when you're on stage and you're at that level and someone else is hiring you to play, you don't have any space for a mistake, and you don't have any space, like there's no interpretation. You just do your part. You know what I'm saying? So I think for the first time, I was in a position to where no one else was telling me my part. And I didn't even know how to handle that because I was so used to somebody saying, no, play this chord, don't play that chord. And that was my job, by the way. I'm not complaining about that. That is the job. When someone hires you, you don't say, oh, well, actually, I think you should do this. You do what you're supposed to do, and you do it perfectly, or you are replaced. That's just the way the business works. And it's cutthroat, it's dog eat dog. I cannot tell you how many times I almost thought I was going to lose my job because some other person could come replace you at any minute, So I had to give myself permission to be a human being and to not be an expert and to not be perfect at everything. Because as a guitarist, I think I was trained and conditioned to nail it live on stage right now in front of 60,000 people. You nail it. You have to do that every night or you're fired. So there's a pressure I had to give myself to take off of myself. Because even right now, as I talk about it, I have anxiety because I'm like, am I missing rehearsal? Like, I'm nervous. It's a lot. It's a high pressure world, the guitar world. Being a guitarist, playing for artists at that level it's fun, but it's a lot of hard work. And it's a huge responsibility. So I think for the first time, I gave myself permission to relax, to feel, and to express myself. That's very different than hurry up, do it perfectly, and shut up until we need you. And that's not a bad thing. I want to say that again. You don't go play for somebody else because you want to do your own thing. That's what I wanted to do. But after a while, I realized when I wasn't doing that anymore, I'm not in that role anymore.
Yeah, that must have been hard.
It was hard. It's kind of like, I don't know, sorry if this is too much, but have you ever heard the saying that it's really hard to pee on yourself as an adult?
No.
Okay, so my mom's going to kill me, but I don't care. So we had to do this long trick, and she was like, we should go get Depends, these like adult diapers. And I'm like, Mom, no, we're not getting Depends. And so she did it. I didn't do it. And it's so funny. She couldn't even pee on herself. And we were talking about that, how like your brain is so trained, like she couldn't even pee on herself. So I'm thinking of this situation like that. It's like I couldn't pee on myself, which is the translation is I couldn't get myself to not be trained as I was, to just be excellent. But sometimes as an artist, it's not about being excellent. It's about just being raw, capturing whatever it is. And sometimes less. You know what I'm saying? But
sure.
Is this a different mentality than the world I was in?
Are you looking ahead to, I don't know if you can yet, but are you looking ahead to touring and imagining how you will be as, kind of the boss or whatever?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's all I do. I'm so glad you asked. Well, first of all, no. Yes, I think about it all the time. I already have done a few shows to try and test it out, but I really want to I just really admire artists like Prince. I mean, Prince did not come out on stage and be like, hey, y'all. He floated out on a cloud, and you had to just figure out, Prince up there. This man would throw his guitar up in the air and his checks would catch it, and the guitar never came back down. Now, there was just a sense of artistry and a respect for the craft, and I just really want to bring that back. I don't ever want to. No two shows will ever be the same for me. And I don't ever want to just go out and just be like, all right, y'all, here we go. First song, second song. You know what I'm saying? I really want my concerts and my live shows to feel like an experience, to feel like you're living the album, you know. So I don't want to give too much details, but it's definitely going to be very dramatic, intense, emotional, exciting, interactive. I just want people to not come feeling like they're watching me, but that they're experiencing something. And I want people to leave challenged and thinking about something maybe they hadn't thought about, or, you know, feeling reconnected with themselves. Like, it's very much for me about an experience. And I'm really, really excited about that because, you know, like I said, I've been trying to get songs out, and now that they're out, I'm just excited to put the visuals to them and do the shows and really have the lyrics sit with people and then be like, wow, I didn't realize that's what you meant. And I want to tell stories. Like, I love Bob Dylan. I love Tupac. I love the way both of them told stories. And on the outside, they may seem like two different artists, but they're the same to me. They're two people telling their stories and telling about things they've been through and gone through. So I see myself merging all the amazing worlds I've been a part of, hip hop and folk and soul and blues, and bringing it all together as just one experience of just that amazing, passionate feeling I feel when I play guitar. I want people to feel that when they come to my show.
And I bet they will. I bet they will. Well, Juno, thank you again for spending time with me. It's been great talking with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And sorry, I know you got to go to the bathroom. That was a long answer, but you know, I had to get that. It's been 2 years, man. You asking me these questions, man. Oh my goodness. Too funny. Hey, thanks again for listening. If you are loving the podcast, please visit unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor to learn about the various ways that you can offer your support. And again, if you're a listener, I consider you a supporter, especially if you shared it with a friend. Thank you. Look for show notes and links to most everything mentioned in this episode at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. Thanks so much for listening. With a whole lot of gratitude, peace, love, and more cowbell. Hey there, one last thing before you go. At the time of this recording, music artists and other creators are facing unusual and uncertain times. I'd like to help out if I can. My contribution is to offer you an opportunity to work with me in a coaching capacity and to only pay what you can afford if you can afford to pay anything at all. Think of it as a virtual tip jar. The point is, I'm here for you if you feel you need the help. There's a bit of a process, but it's pretty simple. Just go to unstarvingmusician.com/coaching. There's a button on that page to schedule a 15-minute consult call with me. This is just a call to find out how and if I can help you, and it's also an opportunity for you to find out if you want to work with me and for me to find out if I want to work with you. If we both feel good about it, we'll schedule your sessions, and I'll also answer any questions you have about how it works, including the pay what you want or what you can afford tip jar thing. So go to unstarvingmusician.com/coaching to learn more. I'll have a limited number of slots, obviously, so if this sounds like something you can use right now, go to unstarvingmusician.com/coaching to learn more and or to get started. Ciao.